I'm ready.
Okay,
let's
good.
do it.
All right, here we go. Number one is going to be called old politicians.
Mm.
All right. Now, like we said the other day, I'm not trying to make fun of Mitch McConnell.
I am.
I feel for him as, his family watching as he did whatever happened here, a stroke or a seizure or whatever happened to him while he was speaking at the podium. It's not just him we'll be talking about. We'll talk about a couple other old politicians. And it's not just that what they did was dumb, because it wasn't dumb. It's perfectly predictable for old people to have moments like this. Mm-hmm. It happens when you're in your 80s.
Some people wait a lifetime.
90s. Mm-hmm. So it's totally normal for this to happen. What should not be normal is us continuing to put these people in office. I'm pretty sure if is it Dianne Feinstein? She also had a moment that we'll be talking about. I think Dianne Feinstein. If she were to run for re-election, she'd probably win again. And she doesn't even know which way is up.
Got Nancy Pelosi's, Joe Biden's.
Nancy Pelosi looks like a golden genius compared to a lot of these people. Yeah. Although I haven't seen her in a bit. What's she up to?
Maxine Waters.
Yeah, super old also. So the problem is not that these people are old and doing dumb things or having medical incidents, because that's totally normal. What's not good is the fact that not we, because it's not you guys, I know. So technically number one goes to the American people for continuing to put these people in office.
Minus the listeners of Good Morning Liberty.
Yes, everyone else though. So here is Mitch McConnell.
And a string of...
Even the sound had a stroke.
It kind of took him a while to catch on too.
This has been a great meme, by the way, that I've seen, and I don't know if I agree with. I agree with it. It's fine. It's been a really great meme. One of the best ones has been like, man, this edible isn't doing anything, and then it's like me 15 minutes later. It's pretty good. Pretty good stuff. Okay, so
resting Mitch face. I like that. McDad.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
All right, so that's one. Then we got Dianne Feinstein. They're having this vote on the on how much we're going to spend on the military. How many billions of dollars are we going to spend? And I want everyone to rest assured, if you're in her district,
she knows what's going on.
She is voting for you, and it's definitely not her aide who tells her what to say.
Stein. Say aye. Pardon me? Aye.
Yeah.
To say
I would like to support a yes vote on this. It provides $823 billion. That's an increase of $26 billion for the Department of Defense. And it funds priorities submitted.
yeah, just say aye.
Okay, just
Great,
aye.
Thank you.
It's not time for a speech.
Oh, God. That's so terrible. She looks like a sweet lady, and I know she's not. She's a terrible fire-breathing demon. But, she looked like a sweet enough lady right there. She probably doesn't remember how evil she is.
No. This is like, and just say aye.
So the state of our republic is strong. All right. And then, by the way, I forgot the Mitch McConnell thing. He made a little joke walking out later. He's doing okay. Looks like the clot passed.
Well, the president called to check on me. I told him I got sandbagged.
Oh, nice. How are you feeling now, sir? How are you feeling now?
I'm fine.
Have you seen a doctor? Are you going to see a doctor?
Any idea what happened?
Huh?
Any idea what happened?
I'm fine. That's the important
Dehydrated?
part.
Okay.
I'm fine.
I'm fine. I just spent billions of dollars.
I'm old as hell, but I'm fine.
And then another moment here when our dear leader said that we cured cancer. or we ended it as we know it, which, by the way, anytime a new treatment comes out, you've ended cancer as we know it. It's different now. There's a new treatment.
Yeah.
So here's Biden doing that.
If you could do anything at all, Joe, what would you do? I said I'd cure cancer. They looked at me like, why cancer? Because no one thinks we can. That's why, and we can. We'd end cancer as we know it.
Okay. That's all number one, old politicians and all the voters who keep putting them in office. Number two, let me explain here for a second. Number two is going to be called, what did I name it? Something to do with climate change for number two. And it's going to have a few things here.
You just named it climate change.
Okay. Spike Cohen. You heard of Spike Cohen?
I think so. Who's that guy?
Is the nipple guy, the nipple king.
Oh, okay. There we go.
That guy.
Now I know who it is.
He basically talks about how if you're worried about man-made greenhouse gases, if you're worried about CO2 emissions, then you should be focusing on the Asian nations, specifically China, who is increasing their emissions and is the largest portion of the emissions. Okay. That's where most of them are coming from. And this guy, Eric Davis, who in his name has in parentheses that he was legacy verified.
But he ain't paying for it.
He's not going to pay for it, but he wants everyone to know that he used to be legacy verified in his name. So take him seriously. All right, because he knew somebody. He said, Charlie, go ahead.
He said, always fun when a person with no education on a topic tries to use a gotcha and shows how little they know. Spike, while we do need to reduce overall global emissions per year, this is about cumulative. Cumulative. I don't know why I couldn't say that word this morning.
It's
too early.
Yeah. It's early right now.
Cumulative emissions. I'll give you one guess which nation leads that.
So I just want to clarify what he says the problem is. It's not how much countries are emitting right now. It's what their total is over time. And that's somehow what we need to fix. So Eric, I assume, has a time machine. And we're going to go back and remove some. I think we don't want
to from the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, we don't just want to go to net zero. We have to go to net negative. We have to stop everything, and we actually have to be removing. We have to have no carbon emissions, but also we have to be removing carbon from the atmosphere at the same time to make up. It's carbon reparations. Actually, is what it is. That's what we have to do.
That's what Bailey just said. Climate change reparations.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't even have the chat up. Nice.
No, that's good. And Copperhead said unrealized climate emissions.
Yeah, so
these are just unrealized. That's it.
If you're talking about climate policy, the thing is, almost nothing that we do matters when it comes to emissions. It could matter some, but as China and India are ramping up their emissions, we're just going to end up sending ourselves back to the Stone Ages, while they are just growing their own economic, they're just flourishing, doing better and better as they come out of their terrible, terrible economic problems they've had over a long time. And so if you're going to worry about it, you got to see if China's going to do something. If they're not going to do anything, then what are we doing here other than paying a bunch of people who have green companies?
Well,
which is what we're doing here.
It's not about climate change.
What's it about?
We know that. It's a way to funnel money.
It is.
Yeah. It's to get people stirred up enough about it, then you can funnel money in any direction you want to, and people will be like, oh yeah, it's good we're spending money there.
So one of the things that's been happening, I don't know if you've seen the news, but everyone is all up in arms about this climate crisis because it's been really hot lately. All right. And
is that Phoenix?
One of the common, yeah.
So
it looks Phoenixy. Oh, the people.
Says Phoenix Fire Department.
Yeah. That's
so you're telling me that it's hot in the desert.
So one of the things they've been talking about is that they're treating burn victims, or people who fell on the ground, are getting burned. And I don't know how often that's actually happening. One of the common...
Can they sue the ground? Like you can sue McDonald's for hot coffee?
You gotta sue whoever put the pavement in, I think. The government. So good luck with that. Heat waves in U.S. and Europe would have been virtually impossible without climate change. new report finds. So they also find that there's been several of these heat waves, and they give this 120,000 year number every once in a while, or however many years it's been. So first off, it's not virtually impossible. It's happened thousands of times if you go by even their data. They are saying it's happening more frequently, more likely to happen. It's hotter, whatever. We don't even have to talk about that, because I looked through the article and I found something that's just really dumb in here as they're talking about the heat waves. Let's see. I'll start with the quote. We still have time to secure a safe and healthy future, but we urgently need to stop burning fossil fuels and invest in decreasing vulnerability. If we do not, tens of thousands of people will keep dying from heat-related causes each year.
This is the next pandemic.
Heat waves are one of the deadliest natural hazards. More than 61,000 people died of heat-related deaths during Europe's record-breaking heat wave last year, according to a recent study.
There's also no air conditioning in Europe. That's their fault.
Do you know what else that study found?
What's that?
That like 5 times more than that died from cold. Okay, so in this paragraph, they say heat waves are one of the deadliest natural hazards here.
Not as deadly as cold waves.
You know what's more deadliest natural hazard than heat waves? Cold waves.
Cold.
Yeah.
But we need to cool the earth.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is the dumbest thing I found in this article. And it annoys me when they pick this one thing. It's like, if they can decrease people dying from heat waves, okay, it's 61,000. We got to get that down to 30, but they're not paying attention to like the 300,000 people that died from the cold waves as they came through, and that could increase by more than the decrease in the heat waves. In fact, when you look at if you read a book like Apocalypse Never, or whatever
that's Michael Schellenberger, isn't it?
Yeah, that's Michael Schellenberger. That's a really good book. And then there's another great one. I always forget the name of it. They will say that actually people dying from heat waves is one of the benefits, in quotes, of climate change. Now, he clarifies that there is not a net benefit from the Earth getting hotter, but if you single that down to deaths from temperature, then climate change is actually a benefit, because you will have less people dying from extreme temperatures, because more people die from cold than die from heat. So speaking of,
So you're saying we need to emit more carbon emissions
for that specific number, yeah.
Okay.
If you want to, if you're,
I don't like people dying from
deaths.
cold. I don't
Yeah.
like being, too cold.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather be too cold than too hot.
Not me.
I would, for sure.
But I grew up in the South,
Oh yeah.
down there in Louisiana,
Which,
which, by the way, is one of the wettest heats you'll find.
it's a wet heat.
It's you go outside, it's heavy.
You know,
It's just heavy.
when you talk about let me just tell my personal story here. You would think, I was in Abu Dhabi, and it was 115 degrees outside.
That's a lot of climate change out there.
It used to be like 114 degrees, and it was 115. It's probably 116 now.
Yeah.
And you'd think like, well, but you're out there in UAE, it's a dry heat. No, it was like 70% humidity out there. And it was so hot and wet that our drummer wore all of the skin off of his hands, because the sticks were so sticky while he was trying to play, that he wore all the skin off of his hands while we were playing.
So he's skinless now.
It was skinless drummer. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was beating the skins, You know what I mean? So
How are his hands now? Did they recover?
no, they're okay. Yeah.
Did he get skin back?
No, he took the skin from his face and put it on his hands, and looks awful, but he can play just fine.
Climate skin.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a tragedy.
You know how people have been dying suddenly? You heard about people dying suddenly. And
Sudden death.
we do this annoying thing where every
Like
time
in sports?
in sports,
Sudden death?
or they have a cardiac arrest really quickly and people are talking about it, and then they'll say, obviously it's the vaccine. That one still annoys me, by the way, because there's a lot of reasons that people can have cardiac arrest. And also, we didn't used to publicize it quite as much, and it didn't used to get as many retweets as it used to, or re-X's as it used to. So blaming someone's cardiac arrest on the vaccine is as dumb as blaming a hurricane on climate change, just so everyone knows. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't look at the numbers and see if there's something wrong going on. But there's a new narrative out there because a lot of people have been having these sudden cardiac events. All right. The new narrative is,
I mean, Norm Macdonald talked about this a lot, though. Your heart will attack and kill you.
the new narrative is climate change is causing blood clots right now. And so if we can blame all of this on climate change, I think that would be better. Your blood thickens as it gets hotter, as most things do. And then you can have a blood clot. You know
what?
And in fact, if you look up, I'm not going to put all the stuff up here, but there's a lot of articles disproving this idea.
Yeah,
but
heat increases
I'm not a doctor.
blood flow.
Yeah.
It opens up the vessels.
Since when does stuff thicken when you get it hot? Is that a thing?
I can think of a few things.
You ever, you're not supposed to check the oil in your car when it's hot, because it can expand. Okay. So anyway, that's number 2, climate change stuff. Whew, we got to get going.
We got to get going.
Yeah. And we're talking a lot. Also, there were
number 3,
7 things.
Number 3, we talked about this on yesterday's episode. Bernie Sanders tweets out, in the year 2023, a job should lift you out of poverty, not keep you in it. Define poverty, by the way. So, like, what level of poverty are we talking about here?
You can't afford Netflix and Disney.
Yeah. Today, with Bobby Scott, 29 Democratic senators and nearly 150 representatives,
That's a weird wording.
Introduced legislation that would raise the federal minimum wage to $17 an hour by 2028. The time for Congress to act is now. Right now.
So as you said, fight for 15 is now fight for 17 from Bernie because of inflation. And this is a terrible, you can go back and listen to us talk about it for about 20 minutes, but it's a terrible idea. The minimum wage forces people out of work because if you're not worth the $17, then they will just get rid of you. The only way they can force you to be worth $17 is if they increase the price of their products. So your $12 an hour work will be worth $17 after they increase their prices. But that can reverberate throughout the economy, and then your $17 an hour is worth what your $12 an hour used to be. So really terrible idea. Let's move on. Charlie, what does the first tweet say, and then the agreement from the repost here?
Rent is a tax that poor people pay to rich people for the right to live in society.
This is all number 3, by the way. It's just bad economics or whatever we want to call it.
And then Gritty is away. Quote tweeted and said, U.S. renters gave landlords over $88 billion in 2022.
Well, what do the landlords give the renters?
Nothing, obviously, except pain and suffering.
The first one, it's an old post, but the other person just reposted it. Rent is a tax that poor people pay to rich people for the right to live in society. So buy a fucking house then. Okay?
Don't rent.
Get your own place.
Build one.
Yeah. Okay, you can't? Okay, good. Someone else bought one on your behalf, and they're going to let you pay them to live in it. You mother-king parasite. Okay? That's what I want to say to that person's face.
Tell them how you really feel, Nate. Don't hold anything back.
We don't have time to keep talking about it because we have this thing. Charlie, on Monday, we talked about this thing over the weekend, Ron DeSantis in Florida and the Florida curriculum, and that they were teaching students that slaves benefited from slavery. And we said that we had not looked at the curriculum and that it was probably widely overblown or taken out of context. But if it were the idea, then we disagree with that idea, or I more strongly disagree with that idea.
I disagree with the idea that the ends justify the means.
Yeah.
You can't perform an immoral act and then say it was for the good of everyone or anyone.
Yeah. Turns out this was about as true as the Don't Say Gay bill.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Just so you know. There's a large curriculum.
But Kamala is saying, let me be clear. So now we have to listen to how clear she is.
Yeah, because finally she's going to be clear.
Extremists pass book bans to prevent them from learning our true history. Book bans in this year of our Lord 2023. And while they do this, check it out. They push forward revisionist history.
Like taking down statues?
Just yesterday in the state of Florida, they decided middle school students will be taught that enslaved people benefited from slavery. They insult us in an attempt to gaslight us, and we will not stand for it.
Now, it turns out who's doing the gaslighting. Weird. So, here's the deal. And I'm not going to be able to just...
Are you going to be clear with everyone, or is this going to be muddled?
I probably won't be very clear. I can tell you that. First off, Dr. William Allen, who was one of the 12 or 13 people who created this curriculum, by the way, 6 of them were black, who created this curriculum.
There's no way.
Yeah, and he's one of the ones that created it and is out there defending it because it's been completely taken out of context. How blown out of proportion is this, by the way, as far as the amount of things?
I can't.
Let me just show you.
6 of the people were black?
Yeah.
That created this curriculum.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Must be Uncle Tom's.
But not the right black people.
They must not be.
That's the problem.
No.
You know?
This is a joke.
This
whole thing's a joke. This whole experiment's a joke.
This experiment, what, America?
America. This life is a joke. It's all a joke. And it's funny. I just realized.
So, we can go through some of the curriculum. And like instruction includes what life was like for the earliest slaves and the emancipated in North America, examining the Underground Railroad and how former slaves partnered with other free people and groups, assisting those key figures in abolitionist movements. You go examine the roles and contributions of significant African Americans during the westward expansion. There's so many things through here. Your normal talk about slavery and how terrible it was. And there's one line here, the one that people got mad about, was instruction includes how slaves develop skills which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit. Maybe it's not worded properly, but I did listen to this guy, Dr. William Allen, and his description of what this means. And essentially what he means is, despite all of the terrible things that were happening, there were people that were able to learn skills, that were able to learn to read and write, that were able to take these skills, and even though they have been enslaved, these African Americans were so strong-willed and so great that they didn't just live their victimhood afterwards. They moved forward into life and applied those skills later on.
They found hope in the midst of despair.
And that is what that part of the instruction is supposed to mean. And that's why it's in there, is it's teaching how these people got past that and took the opportunity to learn skills and then still use those skills later in life. Not that, well, it was a benefit because it was kind of like an on-the-job training program. That's not what it means. Okay?
On the farm training program.
On the farm. You can listen to him a little bit. We don't have to play this whole clip.
One of the authors of the Florida curriculum, Dr. William Allen, joins me now. So, Dr. Allen, why do you think Kamala Harris is being dishonest about what's being taught about slavery?
Permit me not to give you Kamala Harris's motives. They are invisible. I don't know them. We can all have suspicions that there's a dishonest purpose afoot. But what's more important than that dishonest purpose is the truth. And this curriculum is devoted to telling the truth, whereas Kamala Harris has retailed a lie. Now, it may only have been a falsehood the first time she stated it, but when you repeat a falsehood, it becomes a lie.
Tell her right now what specifically this component of the slavery course teaches.
Well, permit me to have Frederick Douglass tell her. He wrote an autobiography in which he described how the mistress of his slave owner began to teach him to read. She pulled back the curtain through which a glimmer of light shone before the master forced her to close it. But that glimmer of light was enough for Frederick Douglass to illumine a bright flame that he exploited to his benefit and his country's benefit thereafter. Such examples are numerous, and they are retailed in the stories of people who suffered the indignity of slavery time and again. And quickly, permit me to say, what this curriculum is about is having people who live the experience, who live the history, tell their stories. And nothing is more important than that we never, ever erase the stories that the people who live the stories tell.
Okay. Pretty good.
Yeah.
I will say, I first listened to him. He did a great interview on Megyn Kelly's podcast, and everyone should go check that out. Really good stuff. He goes into way more detail than just a clip on Fox News. So go check that out. And he talked about how when if you go through, let's say, something traumatic, say you go through a traumatic relationship, you don't think that relationship, because you became a stronger person afterwards. But it is great that you became a stronger person, and you should use that and celebrate that you're a stronger person afterwards. And but it doesn't mean that you commend the relationship and you say thank you for treating me terribly and abusing me.
I'll disagree a little bit there and go a step further and say that you can be grateful.
Sure.
It's an attitude that you get to choose. That's the greatest thing about it. So you can be grateful for your suffering because of the benefits it gave you later on in life. Now, of course, I still disagree with immoral things happening as an excuse to say the ends justify the means. Of course, that's wrong. It's absolutely wrong in relationships and in whatever it is in life. Maybe it's a toxic boss that you have, or whatever the case may be. People shouldn't treat people terribly. But as for you as an individual, this is what we mean when we say that this show is about life, liberty, and the pursuit of meaning. That whole pursuing meaning thing is about your attitude in life, despite what the world looks like, despite how much freedom we don't have in America, even though America is still the greatest country. You can still say that America has its faults, her faults, and needs improvement.
Yeah.
And you can still be grateful that you live in the best country known to man still, even though she has her faults. Like, that's an attitude that you get to choose, rather than, because the opposite, there is no middle ground in this. It's either you're going to pursue meaning and move forward, or you're going to sit in a state of victimhood and perish. So it's one or the other. And that's something that you get to choose, and it doesn't take away the suck. The sucky feelings are valid.
Yeah.
But you get to make the choice. And then that gives you the power, by the way, because when you sit in the victimhood, you're still giving power to the abuser, to the perpetrator. You take your power back by saying, despite all these things that are out of my control, I can be grateful for where I am currently and where I'm going. And then you change your whole life. You literally change your whole life.
I want to put that on a clip.
Put it on a poster.
So put it on the poster right there with your face. Charlie, number 5. Look at this terrible, terrible situation from Harry Sison is posting about this. He's one of those young Biden bots, with the TikTok hair,
yeah,
whatever you call it.
I haven't heard that before, but that's great.
So the only thing I can come up with.
He tweets, "Wow, a teenager in Nebraska just got sentenced to 90 days in jail for using the abortion pill. This is the America Republicans want. Republicans will not let women control their own bodies. According to them, teenagers are old enough to be mothers. It's horrifying."
Okay. All right. That story sounds crazy. Here's No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen. Charlie.
A Nebraska teenager has been sentenced to jail and charged as a felon after ending her pregnancy with abortion pills. She faces up to 5 years in prison. No lie.
Going to the New York Times story here. I clicked on that New York Times story. Charlie, the headline.
All right. Nebraska teen who used pills to end pregnancy gets 90 days in jail. Celeste Burgess, 19, and her mother, Jessica Burgess, 42, were charged last year after police obtained their private Facebook messages. And then the context was added by ex-users, ex-readers. The teen was not sentenced for having a chemically induced abortion during her third trimester, but for burning, burying, and concealing a dead body.
That's why she's going to jail.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Oh. Also, I like what T-Dub said, that Harry must have missed health class. Yeah, I mean, just if you're not aware, once a female human species goes through puberty, which is typically between the ages of somewhere around 11 to 14.
Depends on how much milk and chicken she's had throughout her life.
Depends on all the antibiotics and stuff that she's been consuming.
Hormones.
Right. Once that happens, then biologically, the possibility of being a mother exists.
It does increase quite a bit after that.
It has nothing to do with Republicans.
No.
The chance goes way up.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So I just, in case you didn't know.
This is the first I'm hearing of this.
Mm-hmm. I'm not a doctor or anything or biologist, but I know how to read.
So the dumb here goes to, now this is because of Nebraska's abortion laws that this happened. The charges of having this abortion with the pill were dropped, and she's got the 90 days in jail for burning the child's body. And then you got to remember, this is a third trimester abortion. Okay. So you're almost at the point of viability, you know. You're talking about like,
that is the point of viability.
You're talking
third
about
trimester.
You're talking about like what my brother looked like the first time I saw him, you know, because he was super premature.
Mm-hmm.
So burning and burying and concealing a dead child's body is why she's got 90 days in jail. Not because she used an abortion pill.
And honestly, 90 days, that's kind of a slap on the wrist there.
It is. It is a slap on the wrist. This is like a formality jail time.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, okay, we can't go too long.
She'll still be 19 or 20 when she gets out.
Yeah.
With her whole life ahead of her.
By the way, The Guardian actually posted the real story here. That's what was used as the community notes, fact checking here. So thanks to The Guardian, a broken clock is right. You know what? I wanted to tell you,
broken clock finds a nut every now and then.
Is a broken clock actually right twice a day? Yes or no?
Well, that depends. You know, it depends on how you're calculating time.
No, my answer is no on this. Because I was going to say a broken clock is right, and then I got to thinking about it. And are you actually right when you're accidentally right? I don't think you are. I think a broken clock accidentally aligns with reality a couple times a day. Doesn't mean it was right. You know?
That's deep.
Yeah.
I don't think we have time for deep on dumb.
Okay. All right. Fine.
But I do like that. Here's the thing I do know is broken clocks can find nuts.
We do know that.
Depending on how blind you are.
Look at that spider coming down.
Look at that.
We have to kill that right now.
Why?
We have to kill, because we don't know where it's going to go. Where's it going to go? It's going to go right into my shoes. I'm telling you, it's going to go right into my shoes.
He's fine.
You're so close to it. You can kill it right now with your bare hands.
He's fine.
Use your hat or something to kill the spider. I can't allow that to continue to exist in this room. I ain't playing that. Get that. Oh, wait. Did you close it in the box?
Yeah, he's in the box.
What's in the box?
The spider. He's in there. He can't get out.
Alive?
That thing is sealed. Yeah, he's alive. Why are you so afraid of spiders?
I hate spiders.
Really?
So bad.
I didn't know you were that afraid of spiders. Spiders exist.
No, they don't. Not unless you see them. But once you see them.
I didn't know you were so afraid of spiders.
Okay, listen. Number 6. Here we go. Greg Kassar.
And you guys give me hate in the group. I just didn't think, I'm against death, so I just didn't think that he needed to die an unnecessary death.
There are only 2 things that deserve to die. Okay, only one. We'll go with one right now, and it's spiders. I've softened on wasps, but I will still kill them if they're around me and they look dangerous. But those are the 2 things on my list. Wasp.
I feel like snakes are a little creepier.
No, snakes are fine. Snakes are fine.
Slithering around.
No, they're cool. They can't help. What else are they supposed to do? They don't got no legs.
I don't know, but
they got to slither around.
I'm just saying it's a little creepy.
That's all they can do.
Yeah. But I don't like I don't like worms.
How to get that out of here, the group. I don't want that. Those deserve to die too. Whatever that is, that deserves to die.
It's a centipede.
Centipedes,
Something
millipedes.
like a centipede.
Any of the peds families. We don't like them.
I'm actually terrified of like worm type of things, like maggots.
They're fine. Whatever.
Those things disgust me.
I just want dead.
Yeah, but have you looked at them?
Yeah.
And the way they like squirm around, like with just
That's how they were born. It's just as God intended.
Yeah, just not a big fan.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of maggots.
Okay, anyway, number 6, Greg Kassar. This is I think a representative in Texas, and this is a harrowing story. A harrowing story. He wants you to know that yesterday was incredible. He was honored to be joined at his thirst strike by workers in Texas and across the nation, and by lots of colleagues pushing for federal heat safety protections. 9 hours without water or food, but he's more energized than ever to get this done.
He needs to go about 4 days.
Yeah. The story here is that this guy, Greg, went 9 hours.
He's doing it for his country.
Without food and water, in solidarity with workers who don't have federally mandated water breaks. Not even the fact that they aren't ever allowed to take a water break throughout the entire day, but who don't have federally mandated water breaks. He's trying to push for that. So he does the heroic act of not eating or drinking for the whole day, which I mean, listen, I get it that you can get thirsty, but is this a big deal? That's the question here.
I don't think he went long enough.
I mean, what a hero. He's so strong and so powerful, this Greg.
Brave.
He looked death in the eyes and he said, nay.
Come at me, bro.
Yes.
That's what he said.
All right. Good job, Greg in Texas. I think that he was in Tejas. Yeah. He's battling. I mean, this is all because of climate change too, I'm sure. So that's what we got. That was a great thing. Peter Hotez says, I haven't said anything dumb in a while. And so he comes out. You remember Peter Hotez? The doctor? He's got a lab coat on right now, I bet. So he's worried about a post-Barbenheimer COVID bump. He's sitting around, and everyone else is like, oh, cool, we got to see some okay movies over the weekend. And he's like, I'm so scared that there's not people wearing N95s in the theaters. We're all going to die. And I'm just like...
Does he not realize that COVID has been defeated?
Dude, yeah, let it go. You're not relevant anymore. Get over it. You had your moment in the light. It's over. All right? It's done. I'm sorry. Until someone else creates a new pandemic, you're just going to have to sit on the sidelines, dude. No one cares.
Yeah.
All right? Okay, so that was just I
wonder how many of these people, though, that went to see movies were the ones that would tell on their neighbors for not wearing a mask.
How many?
You think half?
Oh, yeah.
And
probably.
now they can go out and be just fine.
No.
They roam the streets with no mask.
I do wonder, T that brought up a good point from the last one.
I think about the people who personally berated me and told me I was an idiot. I think about that all the time. And you're like, you fucking hypocrite. In the year of our Lord, 2023, 3 years removed from the worst atrocity that the earth has ever faced, COVID-19, this parasitic death virus that was created in a lab.
Question. How many people?
And they just berated you for talking about data.
On the berated front, how many people inside of the Barbie theater do you think berated people online or in person for not caring enough to do whatever it was?
The answer is I don't know, but my guess is it's more than zero.
I would say it's above zero.
Yeah. My guess would be at least half.
And that was a good point there from T-Dub, though, on that last one, Gandhi Greg, that we were talking about a second ago. T-Dub said that he goes that long often when he sleeps. He's gone like 10 or 11 hours. I wonder if Greg just like took a 9-hour nap. Like he just he didn't sleep the night before and he just went to bed.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I just went 9 hours without eating. Actually, I think I went 7 hours. I almost beat Greg's record last night. Wasn't even trying. Holy crap, man. Okay, number 7, Peter Hotez. Get over it, man. The last ones are a couple that we've already talked about.
He still needs to debate.
Okay. Oh, crap. I didn't pull the article up. You remember earlier in the week, we went over this, the fascist responses to the LGBTQ survey.
So good.
The rise of online you see, when you
Was that on Monday?
I can't remember. I don't remember what day it was. Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah. Go back and listen because it's fantastic.
When you have people, out of 350 people, you have like 50 of them that give you sarcastic responses
to your dumbass questions.
Yeah, that's fascism. Just in case you were wondering.
Yeah.
And we have to find a way. We actually have to get involved with social justice in the STEM fields. It should be SJSTM. EM, STM,
LGBTQ, RS,
Q, yeah.
plus 2I.
One of my favorites in that survey was someone identified as a gift card, and then the race was an ethnic gift card, and then their disability
not enough gift cards.
That they didn't have enough gift cards. That was good.
Yeah,
I like that one. Good job by them.
I like the theme.
So anyway, you can go back and listen to that because we're already at 45 minutes right now.
Monday or Tuesday's episode.
And it's in the title, I'm pretty sure, of the episode. It was pretty ridiculous. Not the responses. The responses were hilarious. The dumb was the researchers who were so traumatized after this. They had to take time off. They couldn't even continue the research on the project because they were so traumatized.
Then they made up their own answers to continue the study because... they had to. They got their safe spaces in their lab and stuff. And I mean, look at that terrified face.
She's so terrified.
Yeah.
Right now. But what's she terrified about? She's white.
I don't know. She's a woman.
Number 9. We talked about this also. I'm trying to include things from earlier in the week because just because we talked about them earlier in the week doesn't mean they're not dumb.
And doesn't mean you can't vote on them. They deserve a vote.
They deserve a vote too. This is a
democratically elected dumb.
This is a democratic fascist organization here. Number 9 goes to the Energy Department proposing a rule to crack down on water heaters. And it's not the dumbest thing overall. It's last because it was the last thing I added and I already put the numbers on everything else. And so that's why it's number 9. But they want to force you, when you get a new water heater, to get a water heater with a heat pump in it. And it's not just when you get a new water heater. It's not like they're going to go and make you replace your water heater. So it's like they're not coming for your water heater that's in your house right now. All right, just to clarify. But what will happen is when you need to replace your water heater, you used to have a $500 option. And now you're going to have what's going to be at least a $2,000 option. Or maybe even more once it's your only option out there. And then not only that, all the new houses that go in would be required to have those instead of the cheaper ones. All the new apartments and any kind of rental properties that go in would be required to have those kind of appliances instead of the cheaper ones. And so, yes, this is going to cost everyone money. But as we said earlier in the week, I'm sure they will subsidize the cost with your money.
With your money.
Afterwards.
Yeah.
And they just... Thomas Massey made a great point when he said that these already exist. And what the Biden administration said was that it's going to save people money on their electricity bills. Now,
I don't know about you, but have you met anyone who's like, I don't really like saving money?
No. I mean, I've met some people who are like, I don't like have so much money that they don't care,
Yeah, but if you went to any person, even a billionaire, and you said, hey, I have these two things.
Mm-hmm.
They look almost identical.
You're going to get the same outcome no matter which one you pick.
Actually, they're exactly the same.
Yeah.
One of them costs more money than the other. Which one are you going to choose? They're the same.
Yeah. It's not that they're the same, by the way. It's that you will get the same outcome out of it because one of them has a heat pump and the other one doesn't.
Yeah.
So they're not the same, but you will.
Well, I'm trying to prove the point of saving money.
The outcome is that when you want hot water, you'll get hot water. You know, that's the deal. So if it is going to save you so much money, which it could, like after 20 years or so.
If it doesn't go out.
If it does, which it probably would before that. And it would cost a fortune to fix or replace if something happens to it before that. Then go get one. It already exists right now. You know, just go do it. But
you have to be forced.
They probably, in conjunction with their business partners, have decided that this is a great idea for everyone. Those are actually all the dumb bleeps for the week.
That's good.
We skipped over two things that were also dumb, but because we're already at 50 minutes right now, and you've got a busy day ahead of you
Sure
now.
do, man.
So,
all right, y'all, get your votes in. Go over let's recap real quick.
Okay. Let's see. Number 1, old politicians and the people who continue to elect them. Number 2, we had climate change. Inside of that were the blood clots, the cumulative CO2 is the important part, and the heat-related deaths. Number 3, we have Bernie's $17 an hour minimum wage. I have more things inside. It was, we'll just say bad economics. On the list, it's called unskilled labor, and I actually skipped the unskilled labor one. We had the minimum wage and the rent comments on there. Number 4 is the Kamala and Florida essentially don't say gay thing. And I know that we didn't exactly fall for it. I wanted to make a point that speaks to how good we are. We did what people should do in this instance. Most of the people who either criticized this or supported it probably had no clue what was in the curriculum and had no clue what they were talking about. We stated several times on Monday that we had not read the curriculum, had no doubt that it was taken out of context or being blown out of proportion. But we took the idea on its face, if it were the case, what we thought about that idea. And it doesn't specifically apply to whether or not that is Florida's curriculum. It's if this is true, this is what we think about it.
That's how good we are.
People don't do that. That's the thing. You have to be as humble as we are, which you rarely find people that are this humble, you know?
And this right all the time. Yeah.
And so when you talk about something, let me tell you, you guys don't even understand.
I see the humble glow.
The humility. The humbilities that we have.
It's like an orange aura
I know.
You have around you.
To come out and say that we're not sure, we don't know, but still give our opinions afterwards with that caveat. The humbilities are extraordinary. Okay. So that's
You're
number 4.
humilitating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Number 5 was the jail time for having an abortion and
Turns out
burning and burying the child's body afterwards. Number 6 was Gandhi Greg's thirst strike. And number 7 is, let's see, Peter Hotez. You remember him, the guy with the mustache. And he's still worried about COVID. Number 8 were the fascist responses to the LGBTQ survey, not the responses themselves, but the fact that they were called fascist and that was the problem that we must face in these STEM fields. And number 9 is the Biden Energy Department coming for your water heater.
All right, get your votes in, y'all. If you enjoyed today's episode, smash that follow button, like Nate said, on all the social medias, and tune in to Free Talk Live Tuesday nights between 7 and 10 p.m. Central Time, where yours truly has been syndicated on 160 radio stations nationwide.
Boom.
So we appreciate each and every one of you that listen and are just asking you to do one small thing. It doesn't cost you a dime and just a little bit of your time. Share the show and subscribe. If you want to spend some money and pay for Nate's food because the guy struggles to eat.
I do.
Not that he's on a hunger strike to try to prove anything.
Mm-mm.
It's just he needs more of you to donate to him monthly.
I don't have enough money to buy food.
He doesn't.
It's just a fact of life.
Yeah.
It's not a lie at all.
So go to joingml.com for as little as $6 a month. And according to some of the people in the live group, it's probably much cheaper than your OnlyFans subscription.
Mm-hmm.
So you might as well sign up for some good, wholesome liberty where we talk about wholesome, dumb things and fill your life with purpose and meaning.
Yeah.
$6 a month. And Nate has been saying for months now that this price is going to go up. So at any time, you have no idea.
Well, the problem was that Biden cut inflation, and that means prices have to go back down. So we just skipped, we skipped the price increase. I don't know if you know that, but inflation at 3% means the prices went down from back when they were up 9%.
Okay.
That's I don't know why you don't know this, but it's basic economics.
That's basic Bidenomics.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Anyway, so right now it's $6 a month. That's cheaper than your Starbucks coffee at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and it's cheaper than your OnlyFans.
Yeah, exactly. So join gmail.com or go to godhatesfeds.com to be a part of the Fed Haters Club. You can also buy a t-shirt. There's some great merch on there. Nate's been working on more, but the guy's doing a lot. All right. So be patient. There's going to be more coming out there. There's already great stuff on there.
Yeah,
so,
I've got stuff. I just haven't been happy enough with it to upload it yet.
godhatesfeds.com. Go do that. Let's see who's
the winner
win.
is the climate change discussion.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's a dark horse.
I really thought it was going to be Kamala.
I thought that was going to be it as well. That's who I put my bets on.
Yeah.
But
it was more so for the fact that out of the 13 people who created the curriculum, 6 of them were black.
That was pretty dumb.
Yeah. So
the not that they have black people help at the curriculum, but the fact that
also,
everyone's calling it racist.
I love his answer when he said, he's asked the question or, told, he's like, tell Kamala, why you put this in there. And he's like, well, how about I don't tell you? I'll let Frederick Douglass tell her.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, these aren't my words. These are an actual slave's words that he put on paper.
Yes.
They're not mine. This is somebody who actually went through it. So I thought that was pretty cool. All right, y'all. Like I said, if you enjoyed, please share the show around. Listen on the radio if you get the chance. And leave us a rating and review. If you do all those things, we'll be back again on Monday. Hope you have a good day, a good weekend, and a good morning. Liberty.